The next bill that we're going to hear is by Chairman Craven, House Bill 5444. And Chairman Craven, see, calling him? Chairman Craven, are you on?
I am.
Welcome to the Rhode Island House of Representatives Committee on Education. Please proceed.
Well,
Great to have you.
It's the first time I've testified before this new committee, so I'm excited.
We're excited to have you in our presence. Mr. Chairman, please, so to speak, please continue. Please proceed. Welcome.
Okay, the bill, I'm not sure if you've heard it yet or not, but it's a bill that I sponsored on behalf of the architects of the state of Rhode Island. One of the most popular and I guess there's a lot of inventory of work on school buildings, be it reconstruction, be it new buildings of schools like East Providence's high school, through federal and state funding, is available now for architects to do their jobs as part of the process of building and repairing schools. Over the years, since this source of work that has been available to architects to do this work, Rhode Island has virtually been cut out of the process, the bidding process, by virtue of the fact that there are requirements of points that you get in the gauging of the benefits that your application has. Cost is one, but in this instance, it's experience. And what's happened is Massachusetts is several years ahead of us in addressing these structural issues with reference to schools. So these projects are going not to Rhode Island architects, but to Massachusetts architects. This bill that I proposed, because I think there's if price and everything else is similar or identical, then you give it to the people that are working and living in Rhode Island and paying taxes. So there would be 5 additional points given to a Rhode Island architect who applied for one of these school jobs, and that's why it's before your committee. That they would get those points provided that they are incorporated in Rhode Island. And the incorporation in Rhode Island could be something that if it's their principal business in a Massachusetts company, then they could bid, but they would have to be someone who would be corporately connected and be a corporate citizen of the state of Rhode Island, as our architects are, even though most of our architects that are incorporated here live here. So I think it gives Rhode Islanders an opportunity to have a leg up and not be penalized by the fact that, we're still in the early stages of addressing these school rehabilitation issues, where Massachusetts, having been ahead of us and taking advantage of the points that are given for prior experience on doing schools. And I'd be happy to answer any questions for the members of the committee.
Yeah, Chairman Craven, could you could you elaborate a little bit on the importance of the points?
Well, the points, if you think of it from 1 to 100, and 100 is a perfect score. Just like ironically when we're in school, if you, Chairman, were correcting one of my papers, if I was a student of yours, you'd say, well, you hit the subject matter and you got 50 points, and then your writing was decent and you got 30 more points. And then, your grammar was proper and you got 90 points. And so therefore I would get 90 out of 100 on on the essay or the paper that you asked me to do. In this instance, architects are the same way. And one of the things that they grade by is clearly price, and price has a much bigger number than 5%. But prior experience is part of the grading process. But right now, there is no 5-point or 5% additional points for being a Rhode Islander bidding on a Rhode Island job as an architect.
Got it.
And that's what it is that I want someone to have.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any questions from the members of the committee on this? Thank you very much, Chairman Craven. Great job as usual.
Thank you, Chairman.
The next witness is the Honorable Secretary of State, Madam Secretary Nellie Gorbea.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, how are you?
Great. Welcome to the Rhode Island House of Representatives Committee on Education. Please proceed, Madam Secretary.
Oh, thank you. I was just listening to Chairman Craven, actually, on the bill. But I just realized that we're a little bit delayed in terms of how it plays. Thank you, Chairman McNamara and members of the committee. I am thrilled to see all of you tackling the very important issue of education. I give kudos to the House for creating this committee on probably one of the most important issue areas facing our state, the issue of education. And it's been a pleasure to listen to some of the testimonies and the back and forth today. But today I'm actually here speaking in support of House Bill 5444. I want to thank Chairman Craven, my own representative, for introducing this important legislation to support the local architectural industry in school building projects. I happen to have met with local architects about this bill and give them a lot of credit for saying, hey, this is not fair how this is being set up right now. And they're looking for the legislature to help them, put up a level playing field. As Chairman Craven pointed out in his testimony, there's been a lot of years here where there's been no school construction that has taken place due to the moratorium of building new school buildings. And so now that Rhode Island is finally seeing a renewed public investment in the construction of new schools and renovation of many of the existing facilities, we have to absolutely should be committed to ensuring that the bidders that are being considered get a fair shake. I have to say, I am thrilled to see that there's a strong public commitment to developing safe and modern facilities. That those are absolutely critical to a healthy learning environment. But now that we have that in place, let's make sure that our local architects, that as Chairman Craven also pointed, our own taxpayers, can compete fairly, because the competitors for neighboring states have been chosen time and time again, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that their construction projects in our neighboring states went forward over the last several years, and there was really nothing in our own state, and so the experience it has just not been the same. So enacting House Bill 5444 into law would promote Rhode Island's architectural firms, most of whom are small businesses, as they bid on many of the school construction projects being planned over the next few years. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there any questions for Secretary Gorbea? Thank you very much for your testimony, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Take care.
We also have written testimony. Christine Lopes Metcalf, Rhode Island Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed, in opposition. General Treasurer Seth Magaziner in support. Madam Secretary in support. Associated Architects of Rhode Island in support. Betty, is it CP or CPU? Mr. McAuliffe, welcome. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I will be as quick as I can. I think both the Secretary of State and Representative Chairman Craven outlined things very well. But just a couple points that I think are important. As you know, there was a freeze for a number of years on school construction projects in Rhode Island. While that was going on, a lot of our talented architects, unfortunately, got out of the school construction business for a while because they were working on other stuff, and obviously communities in Rhode Island were not doing it. Other states were doing it. When Rhode Island companies went to other states like Massachusetts and Connecticut, they were told, thank you for your application, but we're going to go with the local company. We're seeing more and more, and you'll hear from other people speaking, of school construction happening where there's no Rhode Island involvement. I'm going to use one quick example. In East Providence, they're building a new high school. The high school is going to, right now, I think about $189 million. Three architectural firms of Rhode Island worked together and said, let's do this together. It's a big project, and I think we'll have a good chance if we all work together, even though they're competitors. These three, two of which are alumni of East Providence High School, applied and put their name in there as one group, the three architectural firms, and it went to an out-of-state company. We are losing these talented people to other out-of-state companies. We're not saying that the automatically should go to Rhode Island companies. What we're saying is that Rhode Island should get a leg up like they do in other states. So you have incentive points for a lot of things, for green technology, energy efficiency, environmental stuff. You have things for STEM, and you have things for other areas to give incentive points. We would like to see the same thing being done here in Rhode Island for architects. Now the question is, why just architects? Why not do more? Well, it's very important to note, and they'll mention the architects, that the first thing that you do, obviously, is hire an architectural firm to do the drawings. Those architectural firms hire the local people after that. They hire the engineers. They hire the site people and so forth. So when they go out and put this bid together, they do it with the other projects as well. So that's why we think this piece of legislation is a good one. Applaud Representative Craven for doing this. The Senate has had this bill and passed the last 2 years, and we're hopeful that there's a chance to do it now. Unfortunately, we're losing significant amount of money in Rhode Island to these firms. And just last night, Newport is doing a renovation down there, and two Rhode Island firms were also kicked or not won the bid. So we think our talent is as good as any other state, but we're losing out on these opportunities. What we'd like to see is once everybody is competitive and has the best price for these school committees, that we look at Rhode Island companies to do the work. And that's what we're looking for, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. McAuliffe. Any questions for Mr. McAuliffe? Thank you. Jim Partridge. Welcome, Mr. Partridge. Please proceed.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. Please proceed, Mr. Partridge.
Well, thank you, Representative McNamara, for allowing me to speak. I'm 100% in favor of this bill for a lot of different reasons. First of all, I have lived... Yes, I'm here.
What is it?
Hi. Thank you, Representative McNamara, for having me here. I'm in favor of this bill for reasons, maybe it's personal, but I'm a lifelong... Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Maybe turn off your computer audio when you're speaking on the phone.
Yeah, hold on.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. So thank you for having me speak on behalf of this bill. I am definitely in favor of it. I am a lifelong resident of Rhode Island. I also practice architecture in Rhode Island, and I've got over 30 years of experience. Qualified to design schools, but I would love to have the opportunity to... Yeah. Thank you.
Sounds like Darth Vader is in the background.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, here I am.
Okay, please be concise and try not to repeat what other witnesses have
All
said.
right.
Please proceed.
So I am 100% in favor of this bill. I'm a lifelong resident of Rhode Island. I'm a registered architect with over 30 years of experience working on commercial buildings, including summer schools, but most of them are renovations. And I would love to have the opportunity to be able to get a fair shake to actually design a new school facility for Rhode Island. And that's why I'm on this line to be able to talk about that, and hopefully that this bill will pass moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Partridge. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Partridge? No. Ted Rouse is our next witness. Mr. Rouse, welcome. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Craven, and other members. Let me lower my... I am the president of Edward Rouse Architects. We're located in East Providence, and I was one of the teams that we went after the new East Providence High School. And it was an all-out effort to go after that job. We know we were competing with Massachusetts firms. We teamed up with another firm from Rhode Island, and we were interviewed, and unfortunately, at the end of the interview, they decided to go with the Boston firm. They've had this advantage over Rhode Island architects for the past 5 years, and all of the new school work that's being done, all of the major new school work being done, is being done by firms from Boston, Connecticut, even Delaware. And we just don't have a fighting chance. They come in with their proposal showing how they just did a $200 million school in Braintree, and we don't show anything because we haven't had the experience in the past 10 years on building new schools. And we're in the on the short side of being, when we go for an interview, to be competitive. And we definitely need this bill to pass to help us to be on an even playing field.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you very much, Mr. Rouse. Appreciate your testimony. Louis Torodado. Mr. Torodado, welcome. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman McNamara and committee for allowing us to testify on this most important issue. My name is Louis Torodado. I am the president of the Associated Architects of Rhode Island. It's been a few years since we've been pursuing this legislation. Since we started, our worst nightmares have come true. Every major project in Rhode Island has gone to out-of-state firms. This includes projects in East Providence, Barrington, Lincoln, North Smithfield, North Providence, Newport, Portsmouth, Cranston, Pawtucket, and Coventry. Now, it is not because Rhode Island architects are less talented, less creative, less committed, less hard workers than out-of-state firms. It is because our state had a moratorium on school construction that lasted 8 years. During that time, only small health and safety projects were approved, so our surrounding states all had booming school construction projects, so they have many recent projects. So it is also the combination of the dramatic increase in business that this pandemic has brought up, but also the very serious brain drain that we're experiencing in our firms because all of our talent is moving out of state where the firms are busy doing our school projects. This is an economic issue for our state. Architects are typically the first to get hired on a project, and when you hire a local architect, you also have a big ripple effect on the economy because we hire our local engineers, local consultants, local printing firms, and so forth. So this is a critical issue for the local economy, for the local architects. We don't have to guess on what the effects are of what's happening. The proof is in the pudding. We are being decimated by this as all of the major projects are going out of state. In closing, I just want to thank you and the committee again, and also Representative Craven for sponsoring this legislation, and our Treasurer and Secretary of State for their support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for mentioning the moratorium, the building moratorium, putting you at a disadvantage. I think that's critical, and that was kind of new information for many members of the committee. Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you very much, sir. We greatly appreciate your testimony. That
Thank you,
concludes the
Chairman.
hearing on 5444.